Hey guys, it's JK Tabletop War Games and I'm back. I've been away for a few months. Sorry about that. Sorry about the lack of content, but I'm back and I've got a Sharpe practice battle report for you. So Beasts of War have just done a playthrough of this and I really enjoyed watching it. So got the rules, had a little game the other night with my old man. Really enjoyed it, so I thought what I'd do is upload a little battle report solo and see what you guys think of it. So I've activated the first card, and the first card was my leader Sharpe, who's actually wearing red there, and he's brought on the 95th Rifles and they've deployed 9 inches from the deployment point. There's nothing else on the table yet, so we're going to draw the next card and see where we go from there. Okay, so Marshal Ney has come on with these two groups. We've got a formation in line, which Marshal Ney is attached to, and then the other group have come on in column. So the line have gone 12 inches from the deployment point because they're out of line of sight from the 95th Rifles, but these guys have just deployed 6 inches to the right of the deployment point. So if I just give you an overview, but no one's in range for firing, so I'm going to draw the next card. Okay, so the next card drawn was red 1, which is this guy here, Sir Henry on his horse, and he has brought on 2 line formations or groups, and they've deployed 6 inches from the deployment point. No one's in range to fire, but they have got line of sight to the French over there. But no one's in range to fire, so I'll draw the next card. Okay guys, so the Lancers have come on with their commander on his horse, and they've deployed 9 inches from the deployment point. So there's no real action going on yet, but everyone's just sort of coming onto the table. So I'll carry on and draw the next card. Okay, so first 2 cards was a red flag and then British leader 2, which is this guy here, who's come on with the Highlanders, who have just deployed straight in front of the deployment point because we haven't got much choice at the moment, and the cannon has come on with this leader and he has to start by touching the deployment point. So if I just come back a bit, all the British have got all their units on the table now, so hopefully we get into some firing soon. So let's draw the next card. So I've now got 2 red flags in play, and I'm going to use them to activate a unit that hasn't been activated yet, and I'm going to activate the 95th Rifles. So I'm going to move them with 1d6, which they get a free action of movement, so we'll see how far they go. They go 5 inches, so just grab the tape measure and we will move them 5 inches. So they're going to come straight across here. Trying to do this one-handed, guys. So they're moving up. So that's their first action. Actually, they get one, when they move, they get a dice free. So they have to roll one, they get to roll 2 dice, and one of them's a free movement. So they go another 3 inches, which will bring them up to here. And then they are going to open fire into the French, which are in column over there. So I'll come back in a second. Okay, so the 95th Rifles are opening fire into the French in column. So we have 6 men firing, so we've got 6 dice. We don't add the 3 initiatives for Sharpe because he hasn't activated the unit. They've activated on 2 flags. So we are at 22-inch range, so we need 5s and 6s for skirmishers, but they get a +1 for being light infantry, so we now need 4 5s and 6s, but it's the first time they're firing, so 3 pluses. Roll them here, and not a bad roll. So we have 4 hits. So now the French will need to roll their dice to see what's happened to them, and we'll roll them here with a different colour. So they are in the open, so they've taken 2 points of shock. No men dead, but they take 2 points of shock.
2 points of shock. No, Daddy.
That's just my son watching me play. So the French column has taken 2 points of shock. So the 95th Rifles are now unloaded. So skirmishers take 2 actions to reload. So I've got 2 bits of cotton wool or smoke in front of them to remind us that they need to use 2 actions to reload. So I'll draw the next card. So the next 2 cards were a blue flag and blue leader 3, which is this commander over here on foot, and he's brought on a little formation, and the cannons come on as well, so he has to start by touching the deployment point. So everyone is on the table now, so hopefully we're going to get a bit more action. So let's draw the next card. Let's do it live. Turn end. So all the cards go back on the deck. We start again. Now if I'd drawn that card at the beginning of the turn, then the 95th Rifles would have been able to reload, get a free reload, but I haven't done that, so let's shuffle the cards and start again. Okay, so we just had red 2, and that is this guy with the Highlanders, and what we done was run 3d6, so they move 13 inches from where they were deployed, but they take a point of shock for doing that. So they've used both actions, they can't do any more. He has 2 more initiatives left, but he can't rally that shock off, and there's nothing else for him to do. He could activate the cannon, but he's too far away because he moved with the group. So the next card pulled was blue 3, which is the commander on foot. This guy here with the cannon and these. So I'll come back in a second when I've decided what to do. Okay, so the commander here on foot used his first initiative to activate the group. They move 1d6 for their first action, and their second action they're going to fire at the skirmishers, the 95th Rifles. So if you get down, they've got line of sight, but they are firing at long range. So they're going to be hitting on 6s, but because it's the first time they've fired, they're going to be hitting on 5s. They're not presenting, so they will be uncontrolled, but we'll deal with that later. So we're going to have 12 dice, and we need 5s. So let's see what we get. Oh, and that's quite a few hits there. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4 hits. Okay, could have been better. So we've got 4 hits. So the 95th Rifles will make their rolls. Now the 95th Rifles count as being, even though they're kind of in the open there, they count as being in light cover. So 4s, 5s will cause shock, and 6s will kill. So let's see what we get. No one dead, but 3 points of shock. So the 95th Rifles have started to take some shock. So we'll put the shock on them in a minute. Now for his second initiative, he's got 2 initiatives, this guy. He's going to activate the cannon. And the cannon is going to move 2d6, but you pick the highest. And so you roll 2 dice, but you choose the highest dice, and that's how far the cannon can move. So roll that here. So he can move 6. We discard the 1, and he can move 6 inches. So I'll just get the tape measure, one-handed. Starting to get dab hand at this. So 6 inches for the cannon, and he is going to move up there into that field and wait for a clear path to get shots. So that's both his initiatives done, and I will put the shock on the 95th Rifles. Okay, so the next 2 cards were 2 blue flags, and I decided to use them to activate this formation. I was going to wait for Marshal Ney to activate them, but the French need to get some shots off here. So they use their first action to move. They move 4 inches, and they're now going to fire into the Highlanders. Now they're at long range, so they need 6s to hit, but it's the first time they're firing, so they need 5s. So we're going to roll the dice, which are here, looking for 5s and 6s into the Highlanders. So here we go. Not bad at all. So 1, 2, 3, 4, no, sorry, 3. 3 hits. Oh, that could have been better actually. First glance, it looked quite good. So we've got 3 hits. So the Highlanders will roll their dice to see what happens to them. And no men dead, but they do take 3 points of shock. So I'll just put some shock on them. I'm using pennies and 5p's, which is a good way of showing how much shock troops have. So they now go to 4 shock because they already had 1 point of shock from running. Okay, and that will mean that the French line is now unloaded, so I'll get some cotton wool. Okay, so the Brits are starting to take a bit of shock, but no one's dead yet. Okay guys, so I've got 3 red flags in play, but the next card after that was blue 2, which is the guy with the lancers, the cavalry. Now they galloped, so they went 3d6, but they take a point of shock for doing that, and they moved 11 inches. So they've got a bit of cover from the woods. So I'll draw the next card again. Okay, so the next card was Ney. What he done was activated this column here. They moved 1d6 with their first action. They rolled 6, but they have to take 2 points off that because of the shock, so they moved 4. And then they fired at half effect. I'm not too sure on the rules for columns firing, but I've said that it's half effect. So we got 6 guys firing, which would be 6 dice, but we had 2 points of shock, so we had to take away 1 dice. So we had 5 shots. We fired into the 95th Rifles and caused 3 points of shock on them. So they've now got 5 shock on them. And then Ney, for his second initiative, attached himself back to this group here. So we'll carry on. Okay guys, so the next card was another red flag. So I've now got 4 red flags in play, and I'm going to use them to use a bonus activation for a unit that's already been activated. And I'm going to activate the cannon. And he is going to fire, the cannon's going to fire into this formation or line that Marshal Ney is attached to, because you want to try and kill him. So it's going to be 12 dice firing. The range, they need 5s and 6s, but it's the first time the cannon's firing, so they need 4, 5s and 6s on 12 dice, which are here all ready to go. So I'll pick them up and let's see what we get. Come on boys. Here we go then. Not bad. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 hits. Oh, that's brutal. 9 hits into the French. So we will roll 9 dice. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So 9 dice to see what happens. We've got to kill some guys here. So let's see what happens to this line. Okay, so we do have a man dead, and we have, these guys are in the open. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 points of shock and a man dead. Now we need to check and see if it's the leader that's been hit, if Ney's been hit. Now if it was normal line troops, we can't roll under a 1, but because it's a cannon, we can equal it. So if we roll a 1 now, Ney's been hit. Oh, we rolled a 1. So Ney has been hit. And the result of that is, let's roll a dice and see, a 5, 4 to 6. He's lightly wounded. He's lightly wounded, so we need to reduce his initiative by 1. So instead of 3 initiatives, Ney's gone down to 2 initiatives. and that's a roll on the force morale table as well, for a leader being wounded. So a 2, I don't think that's going to have any effect. So let's have a look here. These nice quick play sheets. So a leader wounded on a 1 or 2, no effect. So he's fine. So we didn't kill him, but they have taken 6 points of shock as well. So it's 6 points of shock, but we got 12 guys there, so they're not worried about that at the moment. Okay, there we go. And we've only got a couple of cards left, so I'll come back in a sec. Okay guys, so 2 blue flags to activate this column. They move 4 inches because they had to take 2 away. So they move for their first action, and their second action, firing at half effect and losing 1 dice, so 5 dice. They fired into the 95th Rifles. 95 Rifles rolled their dice to see what happened, and 6, a man was killed, who's now off the table here, so he's been killed. We can't roll under that because it's line troops firing at the 95th Rifles. But they do have 5 men there and 5 points of shock, so they could be looking dodgy. So we'll move on. And also guys, I'm trying to get some of my live play and then speed things up with me explaining what happens, so I'm trying to mix it about. Okay guys, so red leader 2 was activated. This guy here, he's got 3 initiatives. So his first one was to take off 2 points of shock off the Highlanders to help them out. And then his last initiative was to activate them. So their first action they presented, and then their second action they fired. So they're now unloaded with that cotton wool in front of them. So we had 10 guys firing because they lost 2 men, and they caused 3 points of shock on the French line. So they've now got 8 points of shock with 12 guys, so they're looking a little bit shaky. So I will now draw the next card, which is a blue flag. Red leader 1 is my main man, Sir Henry. Now, I'll come back in a sec when I've decided what to do. Okay guys, so Sir Henry activated, and he got this line here to present and fire. They shot into the French line over there and caused a few points of shock. His second initiative was to activate the cannon, and he used 2 actions to reload. And then his final third initiative was to activate this line, and they moved 1d6, and then they shot into the French line, killed a man and caused a lot of shock. So this group has had to withdraw 6 inches back, because you withdraw 1 inch for every 2 points of shock, and Ney has gone back with them, and we had to roll on the force morale, so their force morale has gone from 8 down to 7. Okay, so you can see that things are starting to kick off a bit. So what I'm going to do guys is I'm going to film this in 2 parts. So this is the first part, and then I'll upload a second part in about, well, once this has been uploaded, the second part will be probably another day or 2 days. Keep you on a cliffhanger, but I hope you guys are enjoying it. Here's just an overview of the battle. So I'm really enjoying these rules. It's sort of got my mojo back for Napoleonics. So I hope you guys are enjoying it, and I'll come back in part 2. See you guys then. Cheers. Make sure to comment and subscribe.